James Matthews.
That's from, okay, not
Not from James Matthews.
Is this Lynette here?
She works for Palm Bluff School District. We'll make sure she gets that. All right.
Goodness, that's what
Okay, all right. We're back to James Matthews. We want to recognize Kimberly Bones for showing the P in stripes having established effective systems and procedures in the main office in a short period of time. We know that. The next stripes staff member for showing patience and synergy, also in the front office in a short period of time, is Tara Ellerby.
That's all, yes, that's next community. So this is just staff. Thank you, Ms. West.
Last but not least, we want to recognize community members from James Matthews Elementary School. We want to recognize Dalloway class of 1985, Charles Gurley, for donating supplies to James Matthews Elementary School. So,
1980? We were just making you younger. We'll have to fix
oh,
it.
1980. 1985. Okay.
We'll fix it, but come on, yeah.
Usually make this 5 into a 0 on here. I'm kidding. We're gonna press you though.
No. The rest of your class, come on up. Yeah.
Class of
Thank you so much.
1980. Yeah.
Go,
Good
go,
things
go.
happening that year.
Thank you, Mr. Gurley. Thank you so much for your donation to our students. Thank you. Thank you. One more.
One more, last but not least, we want to recognize Highland Missionary Baptist Church Apostle Christopher L. Mack Sr. for donating supplies to James Matthews Elementary School, showing the S in stripes synergy. Oh, you're going to jump in? Okay.
Come on, Ms. Jones. Thank you for your service. Oh, and it's for the members as well.
Any other members, visitors?
Thank you. That does look good. Thank you for your donation. Thank you. Thank you, James Matthews, for sharing your. Thank you, board. Thank you so much for all of our change.
All right, this time anyone needs to leave, before we get into our regular business, please do so. Thank you all for attending. It's always wonderful to get those special recognitions. All right, this time we're going to hear from PPC.
Just wanted to update you guys on the election process. So we finished or closed nominations for this year's upcoming Personnel Policy Committee. That closed at 4, and the ballots have gone out to our building principals. So they are either have already sent out the ballots, or they'll be sending them out first thing in the morning to their staff. And we'll close elections on Friday at noon, and then by end of day on Friday, we will know who the 25-26 certified Personnel Policy Committee members are. All right, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. We still, at some point, we're gonna sit down, as, school is starting, many of us, and kind of talk and discuss, some things we spoke about last year, and as we do our financial training. And so we'll just be mindful of that when we get the election results, and keep you posted.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anybody from classified? Thank you. Classified policy committee? Classified personnel policy committee? Good. All right. All right, this time we want to welcome back Director Whitmore. All right. Good to see you. All right, board committee reports. I'll start with executive. Nothing has happened with the executive committee at this time. We're still being mindful of trainings that's coming up. We're just trying to keep all the board members updated on things that's coming up, as well as sent out from ASBA. Make sure we get our professional development hours in, and we can kind of go from there. And so I don't have a report tonight. As it relates to finance, we have not, the finance committee has not met, and we meet as a whole. But we do have some updates, and we will be discussing some things related to our millage and some opportunities for some things different with what we're doing with the new high school in the future. When we're ready, we have those documents and that information ready to share with the public. So, all right, at this time, what's my next committee? There's the only one. Yeah, facilities. I think we got facilities. We got anything for legislative? Director Lockett. Okay, nothing for legislative. And I guess we'll go to facilities. Director Cogan.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
And tonight, I'm always here to give you an update on the facilities, and I'll start out and build our way to the end so Sean can close us out. But we also, first of all, we got the HVAC bids in on the 9th grade, so I think we'll start working with that project soon. We're still putting packages together for the football stadium upgrades, and also the track. If you've ridden by there, the track has been put down. They're working on the lanes now, the stripes, so it's not open yet, but we got a few more steps to go. And after that, I guess Sean, you can give us an update on the high school.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Board, we always appreciate the opportunity. Dr. Cohen said we are finalizing the last little bit of the track. You'll see kind of an update at the end of the picture here, but we are just finalizing the lanes the last little bit. We'll notify the district when they talk open for district use. With that, we'll get started. Again, this is kind of catching us up for the month in progress. So this is going back to kind of the beginning of August here. You can see our overview as we get started. So here to the right of the screen, that's the arena. So back at the beginning of the month, we were just starting the roof sections of the main arena. This is coming around to the front of the building, the main entry here off Olive Street now. Again, down below would be going into the admin area. You can start to see the courtyard really taking shape as the rest of the buildings are getting built out. Kind of progress through the weeks as we were starting to get more and more roofing down on the arena. This is a view inside the arena. You can see where the wood court will be, where the dirt's still out, and kind of looking back through will be a two-story lobby out into where the auditorium entrance will be. The CTE building here to your right, again, was technology. This is the connection back to the main part of the school. The CTE building will be to your left. These gentlemen are working on some equipment pads right now up on the roof for some HVAC equipment. This is where the overhead doors would be going into the CTE, so that would be the automotive bays where students will be working. As you'll see here on your left, the brick is starting to go up on the CTE buildings. That's the color you see there, two different colors of brick there in the shade. This is a little view inside of the CTE. This is an automotive bay we were just looking at from the outside. You can see the HVAC equipment starting to go up. We're actually starting to get some block sealer on, so we're starting to get a little color in the CTE building. You notice the trusses have now come up on top of the main building here to the side. This is inside the main building. Kind of turning back through the main entry that you've seen from the outside. The admin space would be right here as the drone flies to it. And kind of back out into one of the hallways. Our big push is to get the roof on the main building. You can see all the trusses coming down that are going to form the main classroom wing roof. That's been one of our big pushes this month as we finalize trying to get all the buildings in the drive into September. Starting to see a lot more shape in the upper floors. Classrooms are being fit. Here you can see some progress on the track. So that's kind of the overview. Since this picture was taken, they've actually started adding in the striping and they're finalizing. Again, we're getting really close on the track. And as Dr. Cole mentioned, we are working through with him and Dr. Barberie on the stadium project right now and finalizing the information to get back a good packet to the board. So we certainly appreciate it. Any questions, board?
No question. I would add that we had a walkthrough through the buildings the other day with excuse me, with the administration and also with some board members. So it's I think we're almost in, the roofs are all on now.
We're getting very close. There's a section here on the bottom left.
Choir room.
Over that would be the choir, art, and band rooms. That does have a roof section in between the lower left building, which again is the auditorium, and the larger left building. There will be a lobby right there that the steel is just starting to go up on right now, so that roof's not on. And then obviously to the far right where you saw all the trusses going in, that's the main classroom wing, and that'll be kind of one of our next main focuses for getting the final decking on that and roofing as we go through in the next month. We certainly appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you, Sean. Any questions? All right. This is my report.
All right, thank you, Director Coleman. All right, we have all our board reports. I guess at this time, we're going to move to adoption of minutes. The regular board meeting minutes from July 28th, we received those packets. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting dated July 28th, 2025. It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the regular board meeting minutes from July 28th, 2025. Are you ready for question? Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to our financial report.
Good evening. So in your packet under the financial report, I'm just going to go over just a few of the things, but let's start with the first link that says local revenue collection and breakdown. This looks a little different than the way we presented it to you last fiscal year. I thought it would be, Ms. Reed and I thought it would be more beneficial to kind of show you exactly the difference in the actual revenue received that we get from the county versus what the county collects. And so if you notice at the bottom of that document, you'll see where it says 25 calendar year county tax collection. So remember, the county collects taxes on a calendar year, but the schools are funded through fiscal year, and our fiscal year is July 1 to June, and the county is January to December. So what you see there at the very top where it says January, February, March, April, May, June, so for us, that no longer counts into our revenue anymore. That's part of last fiscal year's revenue. Our new revenue starts for this fiscal year in July. And so what you notice in July, at the bottom, the county collected $2,048,335.46. This looks less than what we actually received at the district, which is at the top of the chart, and that's what I just want to draw your attention to. So we received from the county $2,034,729.37. So each month, the county withholds like a treasurer's excess commission. And so as they withhold that commission, they withhold so much each month, and then at the end of that, at the end of their fiscal year, they true up with us. And so the commission is for their, it's what they spend on the actual operation. So it's a $13,606 difference of what the county collected versus what they give us for the month of July. And I'll keep you updated with that so you're aware of that. Any questions about that report, because it looks a little different? We're trying to just make it where we can see everything all at once to keep a track of that. The next link that you see is the board report, all funds, period 1 through current. Well, board, what you have in front of you for the month of July is period 1. And so you only have just this fiscal year's period 1. So you notice where the next link is struck through, it says board report, all funds, current period. Those are the same exact, they would be the same exact reports. So next month you would have 2 reports again. So the only thing I'd really like to draw your attention to in that board report with all funds is, please notice again, we're down to 4 pages because we're still cleaning up, the business office is still cleaning up all the accounts funds and that 7,000 that were either dormant, not used, they were just empty. And so we've closed out and unused all the 7,000 accounts, and we've combined some of those accounts as well. And so that makes it for a much cleaner board report. The next document that you see is the bank rec, and again, I'll call your attention, we of course have no variance, which we continue to have no variance, which is very positive for our finance department. But also notice that there are still just 3 outstanding checks from, one is from February, then March, and then April. The rest are June and further, so we're keeping that very clean, so that's a positive as well in our financials. The next, you'll just see the board check register. After that, you have the board report for Fund 3001, period 1 current. And so that's just what we see that's in e-finance. That's your e-finance report that shows you what is in the building fund, which currently in the building fund, it's the $34,131,79.81. Now I say building fund, that's just in the bond proceeds. That's just the 3001 where we got our bond proceeds. So from there, the next report that you see is the bond proceeds registered. Again, this looks cleaner and newer this year because it's now fiscal year 26. So you're just going to see where we start with the bond proceeds. So in the month of July, we did earn $134,146.31 in interest, and then we did make 2 payments that you see to East Harding and Lewis Architects that were done in July. And then the last document for you is just the total project costs, which we keep that running total of what every payment we make to Lewis Elliott and East Harding that you see. So for a total right now of July 2025, we have paid $34,879,288.19. And in the month of July, when we received our pay application for East Harding, we're showing that we're right at around 41 million left to spend. And so that's falling perfectly where we're at. What you don't see in the fiscal year 28 bond proceeds is you do not see any partnership money. That is just bond proceeds. So partnership money, again, we'll have that 12 million that will be in account 3004 as we receive it too. So that's my financial report, unless you have questions.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns before I entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented? All right, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented. Moved to properly second, ready for question? Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. For me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, moving on, we move to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. If you don't mind, Mr. Sims, will you go back one slide? Oh, here it is, never mind, forgive me. One slide, hold it back. Again, board, I'd like to continue to keep this under our superintendent report, our district vision, that we are a student-centered community, and that, Pine Bluff School District will be a safe, supportive, and student-centered community where every child is believed in, challenged, and empowered to overcome barriers, achieve at high levels, and pursue the college and career goals they set for themselves. So as we continue to make our decisions and set goals and move forward as a board and superintendent, we're going to keep that vision in mind, and all the decisions that we make are student-centered. Again, that when I report to you tonight, again, it'll still be on the 6 systems, and I like this visual because it really does show that every decision we make is about our students. So I'd like to just start with academics, and this month for academics, we're going to click on just the first link first. It says that Pine Bluff School District Classroom Recipe. I shared this with you last month at the board meeting about what we're saying a classroom in Pine Bluff School District is expected to have, every classroom. And so we rewrote it like a recipe. These are things that we were requiring in every classroom. And so after we created this as a leadership team this summer, we shared it at convocation with all district employees, as well as we shared it, the principals have shared it now with their building teachers and educators. And so if you'll go to the next link after this one. So, and I'll probably need you to blow it up and so that I can scroll through it. Or you can scroll through it for me in just a moment. So on August 13th, which was the second week of school, district administration went to every campus to look for our classroom recipe. Now, of course, we were able to see more classrooms than others in the different buildings. So obviously what you see on the first, chart is the buildings that we went to. So you'll see that we saw more classrooms at Pine Bluff High and I think Greenville, Pine Bluff High School in Greenville. That's where we were able to see more classes when we went. But we're still trying to distribute that. So we had 31 responses. The next chart said, one of the things that we said in our classroom recipe is making sure we look for is the teacher monitoring student learning. Over half of the half of the classrooms, we were able to actually see teachers monitoring student learning. And the thing is just this, remember guys, this is just a like a snapshot when we go in. So at that moment, we can only document what we see at that moment. And so sometimes you'll be not applicable because we had something else happen, or the teacher wasn't necessarily monitoring student learning, something else was taking place. The next one are the district high quality instructional materials being used. This is a big, very strong push with the district administration this year that we're using our state required adopted HQIM. And again, for the most part, every classroom that we visited, we're still close. We still had more that were utilizing it at the time. But again, that doesn't mean that they weren't using a different, doing something else at that time. The next one are social contracts and routines and procedures present. Overwhelmingly, we saw that present across every campus, but that's really positive because it's something that we're looking for with our Capturing Kids' Hearts. The next question are work samples and celebration while visible. This is something that, again, it was the second week of school, so we hadn't had enough time for exemplary work to really be posted at that time. So we're trying to see this number to definitely grow throughout this school year as we look for those things. Is there a PBIS stripes matrix visible? Again, PBIS is positive behavior intervention system. And overwhelmingly, we did see that on all campuses, and we're still looking for that. We still expect to see that number grow. Is there a performance-based objective posted? This is a very positive. We did see objectives in the classrooms as we walked through. 77%. Does the teacher have current student data posted? Again, this is something that was not seen yet as far as current student data because we believe, again, it's just still the beginning of school, so we expect this number to grow. This will be the same walkthrough tool that we use throughout the entire year, so we're looking for this growth as we go through. Are instructional anchor charts utilized? Yes, 54%. Are daily schedules posted? Yes, 67%. Our safety drills and procedures posted, yes, 90%, which is a very positive that we saw that. Some places that weren't posted, we just shared with the teacher, and so that's something that will be taken care of. Any questions about this walkthrough board? No? Good, I'm excited. The next thing under academics is what you'll see in your packet tonight. I'm asking to purchase accelerated reader and vocabulary programs from Renaissance. We used the accelerated reader program and vocabulary last year. We did not bring this to you before tonight because there were some adjustments that were being made. We used some data to determine if our students were actually utilizing this and if teachers were utilizing it. So Ms. Rawls worked with administration and with the company, and we actually adjusted what we're going to be using because there were some parts of it, Renaissance that we were not using, and so we don't want to pay for that. So you'll see a lower purchase number for accelerated reader and vocabulary tonight. Under human capital, capturing kids' hearts. I will say, do you mind clicking on that? Again, capturing kids' hearts is a focus for our district this year. It's an initiative that we do not want to go away. And so this is another walkthrough tool that we'll be utilizing throughout the school year when we walk to classrooms looking for evidence of capturing kids' hearts. We did this at the first week of school as well and collected a little bit of evidence and provided some feedback to teachers about the different look-fors for our capturing kids' hearts. And I just wanted to share that with you. To be very transparent, these are things that we're looking for when we go to classrooms. And I say we, district administration as well as building principals. I will say we have a process champion training, which is another portion of capturing kids' hearts, and we're excited about that. That will take place in September. You can click on, thank you, Mr. Sims. I do like how you just read my mind. Yeah. The next bullet is we are doing administrative learning walks, and our next one is scheduled for this week on Thursday. All leaders, instructional facilitators, as well as our curriculum administration team and district administration will do building walks throughout the entire day. We're looking for classroom instruction and all the things that we've talked about. So that's another one where we're trying to calibrate how we give feedback. Again, I want to mention that teacher development is our goal for this school year as far as human capital. And we're going to work very closely with our teachers on lesson internalization. We have support from the state literacy coaches. Our instructional facilitators are getting support in this. Ms. Rawls is working very closely with teachers and principals and lead teachers to do that. For student support, what you'll see in your packet later as well is the Smart Data Dashboard. This is the company that we use for our looking for students that might be at risk. We've talked about it before. It's a program that we've used over the last 3 years, and I want to continue that. All of our students, you'll be able to pull a report, sometimes use like the bulletin report that we provide at the end of the year, the discipline report, they all come from Smart Data Dashboard. One of the things that we're proud of is it gives a risk factor for students based on attendance, grades, and discipline referrals, and it's just an easy way for our student intervention teams to pull. Ms. Hatley works very closely with that data and talks with our student intervention teams to make sure we're indicating the right students to target and make sure we're doing the right interventions for them. You'll also see in your packet that we need, I'm going to bring to your attention that we are a CEP school, which you voted on that to continue with community eligibility provision school for lunches. So that means everyone gets a free breakfast, which that was part of the state mandate as well, but we also provide free lunches. And since we are doing after-school tutoring this year, we also would like to provide free meals at the after-school tutoring, and we can, and those can be reimbursable, but that's just another opportunity, but I need the board permission because it wasn't originally part of our CEP program, and so it's just an add-on for that, at no cost to the district.
I got a question about that,
Yes.
because I know the administration had stopped some funding for that. Is this what we're talking about? Is this the funding that's coming back for after school?
Yes, now we are getting our after-school funding for 21 CCLC, but this does not come from this. This comes from the Child Nutrition Unit,
Okay.
which is still federally funded, but that money was never halted.
Okay, great, thanks.
Another exciting thing, we are working very hard to do dual enrollment with our students. And so Ms. Tanisha Evans is here tonight. She's one of our career coaches that we work with CARC. And I'm proud to say we have students enrolled at CARC now taking cybersecurity, welding, and concurrent credits. We're also working very closely to get them enrolled at UAPB through a partnership as well for concurrent credit. We had a 9th grade student score 22 on the ACT, so now they can actually enter in college courses as well. So this was very exciting. I think we'll celebrate that student soon. And then under stakeholder and community engagement, I do want to share that we have posted in every building and every building that you can go in that has an office is going to have a visitor feedback poster. So do you mind clicking on that, Mr. Sims? So it'll show. We want feedback on how we're doing as a district, and this is again part of our push for our culture. We want to encourage all visitors to complete the form because we want everyone to feel welcome in every building. We want everyone to be able to be greeted and hopefully have everything that they needed taken care of. So all these posters will be at every office building. Thank you. The next thing is our district event calendar, but I don't want you to go on the calendar. This is the calendar. I want you to go to the district website so we can show people how to access it from the district website. So if you go to the district website and go to About Us, it should say 25-26 event calendar. When you click on that, it is a flip book. And so this flip book will be updated with events. So this is just the basic events, but thank you. We've also provided a lot of information in this. So the first thing you'll see, go back one. This is our school hours. Remember, we adjusted the school hours this school year. Also provides all the phone numbers and information about every campus and building. Thank you, Mr. Sims. You go to the next one. Information about the superintendent and school board members. Our schools, our vision. Just information about Belle de Belle Nocelle and how we introduced the new kindergarten academy this school year. This is my favorite picture we've taken so far of an elementary student signing the social contract. I'm very proud of that. Also the graduation requirements that we will have now with the merit diploma and certificates. Those are different things that are added based on the Access and Learns Act. So we're excited to introduce that, and that's in there. It's in our handbook, but it's also in this document for you as well. And then it begins where we'll start making sure that this is updated. A live update each month about the different things. And so you can flip through it, but it's every month. Thank you, Mr. Sims. Back to also, I wanted to share with the board, I've been meeting with just some, not really consultants, but just support on looking at sponsorship opportunities. And so we don't have a specific sponsorship package yet, but it's for corporate sponsors that would have opportunities to possibly be part of the new stadium expansion. So naming rights, possibly build different types of commercials and impressions that we were going to do. So we're putting that sponsorship package together. I provided just a very, very basic example of my last meeting. I had a meeting Friday to talk about what we can start putting together with the different opportunities. I've met with our local radio station and looking for support in that as well. I'll be reaching out to the Pine Bluff Commercial as well on different types of opportunities for our sponsors. And so that's something that I hope to come to you sooner than later with a packet so we can really get that pushed together. Under district operations, fiscal governance, board-to-board transfers as of this month, the month of July, we did have 12 students transfer out for board-to-board and 1 student transfer in for board-to-board. And so that's something that we will update you regularly. Hopefully that's going to slow down now that school has started back for every campus as far as that looks. What you'll see in your packet tonight is the proposed budget and resolution for the unchanged rate of property tax. This is something that has to be voted on every year. Remember, the proposed budget, it's just the 3-year out budget that has to go in the newspaper. It's a requirement by law. And then of course, we're not asking for an increase in the millage, but the way that the new law reads, we have to put it in the ballot in November. We have to put it on the ballot in November, and we have to have we have to nominate 1 person to represent to go make the 1 vote. It only needs 1 vote, and so we will have to discuss that as part of the resolution. And last, I will say under facilities and transportation, we had a construction update, and what you see in your packet is property and vehicle insurance premiums. If you see on the agenda, I have that I wanted to ask for approval to purchase the property insurance premium, or approve that purchase. However, I'm going to ask that we table that, and I want to explain the property insurance. So we've always used risk management as our carrier for our property insurance. Most districts in the state use risk management. It was through Arkansas School Boards Association. But with new legislation that came, and I was gonna pull the bills. It was, or the act, yeah. So the different acts that were, Act 779 had to do with making a change. And Act 560 and Act 779 is the transfer, this role from any property, school property has to now go through the Department of Shared Administrative Services. And so now we will have a new property insurance owner. And so the premium stayed very close to the same, exactly what we had. It went up, I think I looked at, maybe went up $1 as far as the premium. However, what did change was our deductible. So in the past, our deductible for our property insurance has been $10,000. And the way that this new rate is, it's at $50,000 is the deductible. And so I know that no matter what, we have to go with this company, but we're still waiting to get more information from them because we don't have the actual policy. And the questions that we've asked regarding, is it if you had a claim of $40,000 and you hadn't met your deductible yet, and then you come back and you have a claim of another $40,000, does the original $40,000 go towards that deductible of $50,000? And we do not have an answer for that, so I'm gonna table that. I don't wanna vote on it tonight without more information about the actual policy. We are not the only district that's questioning the policy. We have several that are trying to find out more information. But we do have our vehicle insurance premium. It did go up just about $2,000, but we also added 6 new vehicles to that as well. And unless any questions, that's my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Barber. Any questions from directors regarding the superintendent's report?
I have one. I want to go back to the Capture Kids part.
Yes.
How effective is that? Is that 80, 90, 100% effective? I heard it, but we've stated it, but we haven't given the report. How is helping the student?
Right. And so this is where we're going to begin the data collection. We started with it. So last year we began it with everyone being trained. We went through the process champion training, and it didn't take we didn't see as much evidence of it as we would have expected to see or wanted to see last school year. And so with that, we continued our training with year 2, and now we're going to hold some more accountability to it so that we are actually seeing that. Now, as far as it is not a behavior management plan for students. It's a change in how we handle conversations and how we engage with students. And so that's what the parts of the Capturing Kids Hearts are. How are you engaging? Are you greeting students? Are you out and present? How are you interacting with them and exploring, getting to know more about them? Again, the whole motto of is if you capture a kid's heart, then you capture their mind. And so trying to build positive relationships with adults and students, as well as adults to adults. And so it is an absolute culture change in many ways. And so as far as what they claim, the actual company, as their statistics and rateability, and I would have to get more information for you on that, what other districts are seeing as far as changes. But in our district, I do believe that the more we talk about it and the more we engage with students in a positive way, engage with each other in a positive way, and share good things, that hopefully it will begin.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, thank you, Superintendent Barber. All right, let's move on to new business.
So in your packet, the first thing is the approval of the Pine Bluff School District proposed budget and election resolution. And this is something, if you remember, in the past, Mr. Beardsley would bring to you because we have to post it in the paper. But there's a specific resolution this year because of the actual having to have someone vote for the levy. So the actual motion, I'll let you read it, Dr. Rice. That's what the motion would be.
All right, at this time, I'd like to seek approval to adopt the attached proposed budget and expenditures for tax levy for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 to and including June 30, 2027, and to approve the related resolutions and sample ballot. Sorry. Moved properly second. Ready to question? Question, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
So that will be something that every board member will sign tonight before you guys, before you leave. The next item for new business approval is the approval of electronic fund transfers. And so remember to do direct deposit. We do that if you're on the payroll and an employee, we'll do a direct deposit, a voucher that way. However, we have substitute bus drivers and we have police officers that we hire off-duty police officers, and we cut them a check, but it would be easier if we could just do electronic fund transfer for those substitute bus drivers. So once everything's approved, it would just be deposited like a direct deposit. So you see they're and we have to do it by person. So these are the 6 substitute bus drivers and 2 off-duty police officers that we use very consistently in the district. And so I was asked for approval that we could just do electronic fund transfer for them.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve electronic funds transfer. The move properly seconded. Ready for question? Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
The next item for approval is an addition to the salary schedule, and this is a classified salary schedule. So this is under our current, like when we voted, you guys approved the district support salary schedule level 2, but we did not have a diesel mechanic. We've been seeking a diesel mechanic. We had it advertised on our website, and we actually did, Mr. Davis, our transportation director, and Mr. Gregg were able to interview, we had an applicant and interviewed a diesel mechanic. And so I'm going to ask later for permission to hire the diesel mechanic, but since we did not have a salary schedule, we needed to make sure we had that. So this would be an additional range, because currently we just have mechanic. We do not have any diesel mechanics.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the additional range to the district support 2 salary schedule. Moved properly second. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes. A diesel mechanic starting out with 58,000.
Yes, because we don't have any. Our current mechanic starts out at 50. It's a $5,000 difference. Our current mechanic, without diesel mechanic experience.
What the surrounding schools, what have we, do they have one or have we checked that?
Yes, we made it comparable to the schools around us. I know we were able to look at one district around us that had one, another one does not have one.
Okay. So, in the field that I'm in, a diesel mechanic starts out at 75,000. That's why I was just, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
That's off the record. I don't know where you find it. I like to find more what you find.
We found it in a district, and I'm wondering if it has to do with days, I'm not sure, yeah.
Okay.
But the hourly rate is right at $32 an hour.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. That's it. That's flag.
No, and in comparison, we looked at mechanic 2, and that is at $52,000, so if you're just, it starts out at 52. And so it's a $5,702 adjustment for a diesel.
This is a person, not a robot.
This is a person, yes.
Thank you, Director Locke. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so the next item for approval is to participate in the at-risk meal program as part of our community eligibility program. So it's no additional cost, but it's just something we do have to have, I do need approval to do so.
All right, at this time, I'm seeking a motion to approve, to participate in the at-risk meal program as a part of the CEP.
So
Moved to properly second, ready for question. Any questions, comments, concerns? I have one. What's the difference between the at-risk meal program and the other programs that we have?
We just qualify for it because we are at risk, our population. It's just the name of the program itself.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
The next is under approval of purchases. Hughes Technology is the company that has Smart Data Dashboard. That there was a transfer of companies, but this is the same program that we've had. There was not an influx in cost. It's still staying right around the same cost, but I'd like to continue that program with our Smart Data Dashboard. Again, it's the platform that we're able to pull information to help us with our student intervention teams.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of Hughes Technology Smart Data Dashboard. Move to properly second. Ready for question? Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
And I didn't mention it, sorry, board, but that funding comes out of, like, if we pay for that out of restricted funds, it does not come out of operating. The next item is Renaissance for the Accelerator program and Vocabulary program. Now, if you'll notice, Accelerator Reader was at $22,000 and Vocabulary was around $8,000. They're two different programs, but since it's to the same company, I thought I would bring that to your attention. It's not really going over the threshold, but I wanted to make sure that that was clear. But I do want to go ahead and ask for approval since it's going to be to the same company. And that comes out of Title I money.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of Renaissance Accelerated Reader and Vocabulary. Move properly second. Ready for any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item on the agenda is approval for Arkansas Insurance Department Risk Management, and this is for our vehicle insurance. This is in your packet. If you notice, vehicle insurance, it's $66,930, which is about a $2,000 increase from last school year to $64,927. The changes though are because we added 5 new vehicles to our fleet.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of Arkansas Insurance Department Risk Management Vehicle Insurance. Then move to properly second. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye for me. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
The next item, which is the state of Arkansas property insurance, I'd like to remove that. I mean, I'd like to table that.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, thank you very much. All right, we've come to the end of our agenda. At this time, we need to take a brief recess because we have a grievance hearing, so we can ask our participants. My understanding is the hearing open?
It is open.
It is open, so we asked our community stakeholders and people who come to be with us tonight to please step out of the room so we can reorganize. You're more than welcome to come back in. Some of you are going home, and even thank you so much for attending this evening. Thank you so much for continuing to support the Compton School District.
We have to still Texas.
So we're going to recess. Let's do that. Thank you.
How you doing? Good, good, good. Beat this. I mean.
Turn the meeting over to our hearing officer, Scott Richardson.
Just to make sure, does everybody on the board have the administration exhibit packet that looks, has the table of contents on the front? Okay. And then Ms. McMurray also had some exhibits, I think 5 paperclip exhibits. Does everybody have those? Okay, great. And I'm going to begin us with an opening statement. All right, before I make the opening statement, I would ask everyone to silence all their communication devices. If you do receive a call, please step outside the room to carry on the conversation. This meeting is called for the purpose of hearing the grievance filed by Monica McMurray. Ms. McMurray is represented by Attorney Miss Kelly. I didn't catch your first name, I apologize. Michael Miss Kelly. The administration is represented by Attorney Cody Keeves, who will assist the administration in its presentation. The law provides that the hearing may be held in open or closed session at the discretion of the employee. If the hearing is open, anyone, including the press, may be present. If the hearing is closed, only those who are involved in the conduct of this hearing may be present. Ms. McMurray, do you desire this hearing to be open or closed to the public?
I requested an open hearing, sir.
Very well. The procedure will be for the administration and the grievant to present arguments regarding whether, as a procedural matter, the grievance is grievable. If the board determines that the grievance is not grievable, this matter will be concluded. If the board determines that the grievance is grievable, then the grievant will commence presenting the evidence on the substance of the grievance. The grievant will have 90 minutes to present the grievance. Both parties shall have the opportunity to present and question witnesses. At the conclusion of this presentation, the attorneys or representatives may also make closing statements. All right, Mr. Keys, do you have any motion on grievability?
It's our understanding that the grievance involves a term or condition of her employment, so we'll waive any arguments and allow the grievance to move forward.
All right, then we will move forward to the hearing presentation then. And it's usually my practice in these grievances, the burden is on the grievant. So Ms. Murray, I think that means you go first. All right, Mr. Miss Kelly, however you wish to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. Good evening, members of the board. I will call Ms. McMurray as my witness. Can I sit down and do this? I'm used to the court proceedings where you have to stand, but it might be easier if I sit to handle these exhibits. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Ms. McMurray, first, I just want to ask you a couple of questions about your background. How long have you been in education?
27.
And how long, when did you start working for the Pine Bluff School District?
Initially in 2015.
And would you briefly take us through the progression of your career at Pine Bluff School District?
I initially became employed in the Pine Bluff School District in 2015 as the Executive Director for Learning Services. I left the school district in 2019. I returned in 2021 as the coordinator for recruitment and retention. In 2022, I was asked to assume additional responsibilities for human resources. And this is where the conversation took a turn as the additional burden of human resources was added to my responsibilities.
So, what was your position called in the 2021-2022 school year?
I was the coordinator for retention and recruitment.
And in this packet here, we have a job description for that job, right?
Yes, sir. That would be the very first packet that I gave you all. It have the highlighted paragraph at the very bottom.
So the very first page is a July 30th, 2025 letter addressed to you with the Pine Bluff School District header at the top. So in that packet, we're talking about the last 2 pages of that packet, which describes the qualifications, duties, and responsibilities for the district coordinator of recruitment and retention, correct?
That's correct.
Now, you said that you assumed additional responsibilities in 2022. So tell the board how it came about that you assumed these additional responsibilities.
The initial conversation came forward. The assistant superintendent asked me if I would assume additional responsibilities because there needed to be a in-between person in the human resources department that would share the overload with grievances, and there needed to be a licensed person that would assume those additional responsibilities that was placed on the AFSCAN coordinator at that time, who was sharing those responsibilities of the HR specialist. And in sharing his vision for that office, he wanted there to be a certified person that would assume the responsibilities of some of those procedures that were lagging at the time. And he asked me if I would assume those responsibilities, and I did tell him that I would. And he said that he would go and have a conversation with Dr. Barbary, and that he would come back and share the next steps of that job responsibility with me. And so he did. I had a conversation with Dr. Barbary. We talked about adding those additional responsibilities, integrating those into an additional job description, which became the director for talent acquisition. And from there, the new job description was birthed. And that's where the job description of executive director for talent and acquisition was created. And so you'll find in this packet the new job description. If you look at a couple pages ahead of this document, you'll see where it says Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition. Notice those actionables that I have highlighted in this job description. These are all of the actionables that I included in the job description. Now, if you would compare side-by-side analysis of both job descriptions, you'll find the highlighted actionables are those that I added into the job description that was a part of the coordinator of retention and recruitment. That's the only thing that happened here. And so the things that are not highlighted, those are the job actions that are actually the job actions of the coordinator of retention and recruitment. So this shows that before I was given those additional job responsibilities, the job description was that of the director of the coordinator for retention and recruitment. And so if you notice in this same packet that you have, if you turn behind this job description of director of talent acquisition, you'll see where to the right of there, you'll see all of the times that I went into the talent acquisition into the portal and made those changes. It shows my name and the date of all of the time that those changes were made, where it has my name highlighted each and every date that those changes were made. That is indicative of every single time that I talked and had conversations with Dr. Barbary about those actionables that were to be included in that job description. The whole point of that conversation was that we talked about making sure that when we put those actionables in that job description was that the stipend that was to be paid from doing these additional job responsibilities would be Title II compliant, because that's where my salary at that time was being paid from. And so that was the whole purpose of that conversation. Now, to my surprise, not knowing that there was already a conversation that had taken place, that there was going to be some changes with this, stipend. I had no knowledge of, but obviously, she did. When you look at this paragraph, look at where it is highlighted. Go back to the very first page where she responded to me in the grievance. I'm gonna give you a moment to read what's highlighted.
So just to make it clear, the July 30th letter, the first page of this packet, is Dr. Barbary's response to your grievance regarding this issue, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
This is what it says. I explained to you that you provided this job description to me, which I did not, but she says, I explained to you that I provided this job description, you provided this job description to me in 23-24 school year. In the 23-24 school year, we adjusted the title. This is important. We adjusted the title to Executive Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition. Adjusted the index for this position to an Executive Director index of 1.7. We'll talk about that in a moment. Starting with the 23-24 school year, your contract and pay reflected an increase with the new index of 1.7 for the job of Executive Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition. I'm gonna stop there because I wanna explain something about that. Now, in her response to me, she only had one job description. The job description that she had was the job description that you're looking at, which is the Executive Director, which executive is missing off of that title, but it does have the correct multiplier. It has the Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition. So yes, she's right about that. It does have that. But look a few pages ahead. I want you all to look at the multiplier. If you notice this multiplier, be this page right here.
It's page 4, right?
Correct. I highlighted the multiplier, which is a 1.7. Here's why this is not a standard way to apply a stipend. Notice the stipend page. A multiplier is synonymous to a job title. It is not a standard stipend. Every single district level employee has a multiplier in the calculation of their salary. You don't use it to apply a stipend amount. That is the standard measure of how you apply the calculation of every salary. The same thing happens with the building level administrators. You cannot calculate their salary without the index. Notice, there are 5 standard indexes that you can have. You have an assistant superintendent, you have an executive director, you have a director, a coordinator, and a specialist. Now, she said she adjusted my title from a 1.5 to a 1.7. My title changed because I went from a coordinator to an executive director. That was standard for there being a title change. That was standard. You didn't give me a stipend for extra duties. You gave me an index change because my title changed. No other employee has been given a stipend increase by an index change. Not one. Not one. Secondly.
1 second. I just want to make sure that the board members know which document we're looking at. So this is the packet that looks like this. It's got Carlock and Grab written here on top. And the page we're looking at is the last page of this packet. This is what shows the stipends and the multipliers.
Well, this one is also in this first packet, so.
Oh,
don't
sorry,
put it there.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's in this packet. So stay with the first packet. Notice on this other packet, because I don't want to confuse you. So in this same packet that we're looking at, now, 2 things, because there's a contradiction in this response, and I want you to stay with me on this contradiction. Let's go a little further in the second paragraph. Stay with me on the highlight. I shared that those roles have now been redistributed to payroll coordinator, and we'll get to that in a moment, and are part of your job according to your job description. She's absolutely right. It is, because I put it there. So it would be a part of my job description now, because we had the conversation, it happened, so now it's a part of my job description. That's correct. But let's go back. When my job description, before the duties were additional, my job title was coordinator of recruitment and retention. Those extra duties were not there. Had you given me the stipend, when the burden was put in my office, the stipend would have been appropriately applied, and it would have been additional duties as assigned. So let's stay there with that. That's the important measure that I'm trying to get a point here. Now, let's look a little further. I also shared that the stipend was no longer a stipend. According to the job description you provided, your job encompassed some of those HR roles. Now, let's go here. Two things I'm seeing here. In one paragraph, you're saying you're acknowledging that you're paying me in one paragraph. You said you did it by the index, which cannot happen. But then secondly, you're saying you don't deserve the stipend because it's in your contract, it's in your job duties. Which one is it? Either you are acknowledging that I am supposed to have the stipend and you gave it to me by the index, or it's in my job description and I'm not supposed to have it. Now, let's take one of these and let's wrestle with it. I choose to take the one that's in my job description. Let's go with that one. We'll go with that one. Now, Lucretia.
So this is the next packet. It starts with sheet titled Recommendation for Employment. Now this concerns Lucretia James, right? Who's a payroll specialist.
Correct.
And what is the significance of having her information in here?
Okay, now, if we are going to take the rationale as to why I didn't get the stipend, because the consolidation of the HR stipend no longer being a stipend, if that is correct, then the same should be correct with this employee. Let's go. If you look at the first page, Ms. James was hired on 8/29 in the year 2022 on a step 19 with a salary of $50,880. If my salary in 23-24, if you adjusted my index in 23-24, then the same thing would have been true to Ms. James, because mind you, we were split the responsibilities in the same year. Let's stay there. The same year, because those responsibilities were split between mine and her offices in the same year. Okay? Now, let's look. If you notice here, the second page is what we pulled directly out of eFinance, which shows you the step of every employee, because we enter it in when they're hired. Okay?
I'm just not gonna mention how the step is off, which we can see is off, just out the gate. But let's move on. All right, so in the same year, 23-24, she went from $50,880 to $58,329.60 in the year of 23-24. Okay, she got a $10,000 fiscal support stipend, which put her salary to $68,329.60 in 23-24. Now, she had already received the compensation during that year. She had already received the compensation. But let's look a little further. 24-25, the title had already changed. The title had already changed. She went from that amount to $74,899.54. In 24-25, there was another $6,569.94 raised the next year. Okay? Let's look a step further. The next year, She went from that to 25, 26 school year to 94, $302.26, another $19,402.72. This is totaling a $43,439 and $39.26 raise in 3 years. A certified teacher don't get that much money in a 40-year teacher span of a teacher lifespan. And that's in 3 years. Now, here's my question. I didn't get a $10,000 stipend. I got 4 degrees. This person don't have 1 college degree and got a $43,000 increase in 3 years. And I've only asked for $10,000 that I'm entitled to. It's a problem. It's a problem. Now, Dr. Barberie says to me in this letter that you're reading, she says to me that it's not, that the jobs, that the actionables are in my contract, are in my job description, I'm sorry. Let's go to her job description. HR specialist. Here it is, let's go to it. She was already compensated. You compensated her 2 times. Now, let's look at the salary schedule. The salary schedule says this. You added it to the salary schedule. She was already the payroll coordinator in 24-25 when you moved her to $74,899. You could have stopped there and the compensation would have been settled, although you paid her the year prior. You could have stopped there. But you went right on and you gave her another $19,000 bump.
Ms. McMurray,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Apologize for interrupting you, but what salary schedule are you looking at?
I'm looking at, do you see this one in next to the last page?
The smaller.
The smaller one,
But
yes.
It's wider, but the numbers and letters are smaller.
Absolutely. It's the highlighted, so go to the far right on that one.
And so you have a column on here that's highlighted.
To the far right, there's a
My
small
eyes are
highlight.
too old.
Honey, mine too. You see these big, look at that.
I
Yes.
can't read what's at the top of that column.
Okay.
Will you tell me what's at the top
Yes,
of that column?
so if you look at the very far right, at the very top, it says payroll HR coordinator. It says payroll / HR coordinator. The writing is very small. That's the very farthest right of the column. And then at the very bottom where I highlighted it, that's where her contract stops at because she's topped out at 25 years, 94, 312, 26.
So the important part of this you want the board to see is that far right column. in the total.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt.
Thanks for that clarification. Okay, now, here's the job description, and this is what's important. If the explanation that's given to me is a reason for why I didn't get the compensation, then the same thing should be true here. The job description. Let's look at the actionables in the job description. I color-coded it for you. Yellow is mine, green is Miss James. Look at it side by side. Now, mind you, she's the human resources specialist. There's more yellow in this job description, which is what she does, than there are green. Meaning that my job is even embedded in what she does. Because a lot of what she does as the HR specialist, HR in what I do, it crosses over into what she does. And she does a great job. Let me just say that. She does well at what she does. But a lot of what she does encompasses the benefits and insurances side and the FMLA side of the work. Okay? I just want to go on record that she does a great job. Okay? That's not what this is about. Okay? Now, if we're talking about the equity and the fairness of the explanation, it's not sticking because her job description, the actionables are there. So there was no reason to say in this response to me that I should get the stipend because the actionables are in my job description when they're clearly in hers. And you paid her 2 years in increases by way of her job salary. But you said that you did away with the HR stipend.
when the stipend should have been applied on my side as well. And you didn't do it. You said you gave me the index when there's no such thing. Now, if we were to look at contracts, now, let's go on to the common practice of applying stipends. What do we do when we apply stipends? What is the correct way to apply stipends? Let's talk about that. You have a contract. No, before we go there, we're not gonna go there yet. Before that we go there, let's look at our top level administrators, because we're gonna stay on this, it's in my job description thing. Let's look at our top administrators. Take this one here. It's color coded. You see that one? These are our two top level administrators. They're receiving stipends as well. Now, we talked about an index. Remember when I said the index is a part of the standard calculation for salaries? It is. Now, administrators receive an index and a stipend, okay? And again, the reason for that index is because that is the standard measure of calculating the salary. Now, let's go back to the job description. Look at this. We have an assistant superintendent of instruction, and we have an assistant superintendent of operation. It's just what it says. One assistant superintendent handles all things instruction and programming. The other superintendent handles all things operational, facilities, buses, safety and security, all of that, okay? Ball games, all of that. Those responsibilities are split down the middle. Now, this is highlighted according to the job description. If you notice here, the yellow shows you everywhere that superintendent's responsibility is related to instruction. It's in the job description. If what was said to me is applicable, why is this not applicable? It's in the job description. Now let's go to his contract. They're on a 1.97 multiplier, standard measure of salary calculation. But let's look here. Let's look here at the first contract, salary, stipend that's applied. $10,000 stipend that's applied. Now this superintendent is operational. Okay? Tell me why. Operational. Now what this stipend tells me is athletic program support. My first question when I look at this is, why? Because you have one athletic, program athletic director in this district, and you have an assistant athletic director in this district. Tell me, why is this salary appropriate? Why is this stipend appropriate? Because in this job description, let's go to it. It's directly related under supervisory responsibilities. Here's what it says to me. Supervisory responsibilities may include supervision of school-based campus administrators. That means principals. That means anybody that's district level related. Security, campus security directors, anything related. District-based operations, systems leaders. That would be me and everybody else. System, central office department staff, and other assigned program-related staff. That's anything related outside of instructional programming. Okay? And then if you would look at the other green highlighted, and you can read it, I'm not going to read it for you, but anything else in here in this job description that's related to operational supervision responsibilities is in here. It's clearly in the job description. So he's got an index and he has a stipend. It's consistent. Same thing with the instructional superintendent in yellow. It's clear, and I'll just read a few, just for the record. Assist directly in supervision and evaluation of administrative, instructional, and support personnel. It says ability to coordinate and supervise the work of others and recognize the school system's need with respect to district level building, curriculum, teaching and learning, okay? Communication provides direction for all building staff to ensure quality performance at all levels. Direct student services, developing and implementing curriculum, supervising and supporting instructional leaders, and oversight of instructional evaluation systems. I can go on and on. But it's in the job description. That's my point. It's in the job description. But now let's go back to the contract. The contract says this superintendent gets a program support, $10,000 stipend, a CCEIS coordinator, $5,000 stipend. That's $15,000 additional duties stipend in addition to an index of a 1.97 index. Index and stipends. Okay? Now, it's in the job description. But now you clearly said here, I'm going back to it, that in my job description, I don't deserve the stipend. But let me say this. You talked to me about putting it in my job description. It wasn't there, but it's in theirs. Just want to make that point clear. Just want to make that point clear.
All right. Mr. Miss Kelly,
Yes, sir.
no points?
Nope, they're not. I'm not done. We got 9 minutes. Okay. Next thing. When I look at the HR responsibilities of how we got here. How we got here. Look at the consistencies of the contracts. Look at your contracts. You received the packet with contracts. You have, and these are just some of the district personnel contracts. I didn't want to pull them all, and some were delivered and not given to me. I just want to make that a point of record as well, because I asked for them. Okay, I just want you to look through these. I'm not gonna call names. I want you to look through these, and I want you to see the consistency. Yes, sir. That's it.
This is the package, the one that's just the teacher contract.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir, that's it. Thanks for
You're saying
asking.
some contracts were not available to you?
Yeah, some were not given when I requested them. That's correct.
Are you not in charge of HR?
I don't have the copies because the copies weren't given to me. That's a good question.
Okay.
That's a good question, and we'll talk about that too. You get it. You get it. Good question. Okay, and I'll answer that question. Here we go.
I would suggest you just focus on, what is it that you want the board to get from seeing these teacher contracts?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. These are the contracts. If you would look at these contracts, this is the common, these are the common practices where each stipend and each index is applied commonly. Now, if you would look at the 1, 2, tell you what page, 3, okay, look at the third person's contract here. 4, without me having to call names. The fourth person's contract. All right, now, one thing that was said in this contract, and my response to me was,
I'm not sure who she's referring to.
count
I'm
4
not
pages.
sure it is.
Count 4 pages down. 1, 2.
Is the position that you're referring to
Federal
begin
program.
here?
Federal program.
Excuse
Should be
me.
federal program. Look at the title. See the title? Federal and categorical programs.
Federal categorical program.
Yes. Yes.
It's the last one in my package.
Okay. Federal and categorical programs. Y'all got it?
And you're pointing to,
Are y'all there?
under additional duty, there's Coordinator Smith FY '25 and
Just
the
as-
virtual
just as hot.
coordinator, right?
Just to highlight. That's correct. That's correct. Thank you. I didn't want to. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, in that particular, person's contract, now, the response for me was that there was a elimination of the HR salary, of the HR stipend. Now, I want to bring your attention to something. This particular employee was initially the 712 virtual coordinator. And there was another gentleman who's now retired, was the K6 virtual coordinator. That person retired. If that position was going to be dissolved and that responsibility was going to be pushed into that position that this person has, then would it not have been the same that this person would have been given an index? Because the same thing happened here. If we're gonna be consistent with the practices, because the same thing should have happened. Because that's what you did here to me. If we're gonna do this thing the same way, but that didn't happen. This person received the stipend, and she has an index. That's what happened. So no other employee had an index and nothing else. I was the only employee that received an index and no stipend. Everyone else has an index and a stipend, is the point. Now, you mentioned something about why didn't I have the contracts? Yeah, that's a good question. Because there is someone else who is operating in that capacity as well, which has been a covert problem that has been become a challenge in the first place. And I had that conversation with Dr. Marguerite to my surprise, which is why I asked for documents for that employee as well. And this is the packet I want you all to look at. Because that employee has been placed in doing some of the jobs of HR that should not be doing the jobs of HR, because that person was never included in those conversations.
Well, what does that have to do with anything?
It's because we're talking about HR.
Well, we're making.
Yeah, but we're talking about your pay.
Yes, we
And I
are.
think that relates to the pay scale.
Yes.
Where you fall
We
on
are.
the pay scale, why you should
We
not
are.
have another part of
And
the
I'm
pay
gonna
scale
show you how it
applies
comes
to
full circle. I'm gonna show you how it comes full circle. Because we're talking about HR, we're talking about my HR responsibilities, and we're talking about how those HR responsibilities have not been given to me, and how that HR stipend was not put on my contract, because the HR responsibilities are being placed covertly in someone else's office. That's where I'm going with it. Now, as I was saying,
But again, what?
because the covert actions of this, because the covert actions of the superintendent is deceitful.
No, wait, Mr. Hinojosa,
And
I've considered,
Hold on.
Hold
Hold on.
you know, we've given her.
Oh, no, I got 90 minutes. I got 90 minutes.
Just
Let me
a
explain.
moment, please.
Sure,
Ma'am.
sure.
We're not gonna throw around names, okay? But also, I think it's a fair point of, everybody's got different job responsibilities, and you're saying that there is some position, some parts of the role that used to be in your position that have been taken away. Is that what I'm understanding?
If you let me explain, I'm
No,
gonna.
I'd like for you just to answer my question right now. And I'll
That's
give you
exact-
time
I'm-
to
that's
explain. I'm
exactly
just
what
trying
I'm
to get
saying.
oriented to
Yes,
to
that's
what
exactly what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying she said it. I'm saying she said it.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what you're
Yes.
trying to explain.
I'm saying she said it.
So there's some portion of the job responsibilities that were taken away that are associated with the stipend.
No, stay with me. I'm saying she
Well, that's what
told
I'm
me.
trying to do here.
Okay, and I'm gonna answer you.
Okay.
This is not confusing. I'm saying she said to me that she wanted this person to operate in that capacity. It was pretty much that clear.
I don't really need into the back and forth. What I'm wanting to know is, you're saying there is a job position that has been split, and that someone else is performing a job function that
Yes,
should be associated with a stipend for your position.
Yes,
Can you point to me somewhere in these papers where that job position is.
You got the packet. You're not letting me explain it. It's in the packet.
I'm asking you, just direct me to where it is in the packet,
Okay,
if it's
well-
there.
You didn't let me get there. Okay, let's go.
It's about the 7th or 8th page of the contract.
So, you're asking me if what I'm getting ready to tell you, you're asking me how is this person involved in this part of my job, is what you're asking.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry, if I didn't
Okay.
ask my question.
Maybe you're not.
I apologize.
Okay,
Because I understood what you to be arguing is there's a portion of the position that was split off from yours that is associated with the stipend. I'm trying to figure out where is that? It needs to be
Okay,
the
you-
salary schedule, or the stipend schedule, or the multiplier schedule, or somewhere like that. I'm just trying to figure out
okay,
where
so
we are.
you already have that part of it. That was in this second, that was in the very first document that we discussed. You already have that. That was the HR specialist part.
Okay, so it's the HR specialist
Yes.
that you think has been taken off of your position, somebody else is getting that stipend,
No.
and you should be.
No, the jobs were split.
I apologize at that, but I'm
Yeah,
being
'cause you're
dense.
confused.
I'm
You
sorry.
are, you're confusing me, and I think you're confusing the board members too.
Well, I'm trying to
I'm
dialogue
gonna
with you
keep
to make
saying-
sure it's straightened out.
Okay. Let's not confuse everybody. Stay with me. This document right here that talks about the HR specialist, okay? The job was split because one part of this responsibility deals with the benefits side. The job that I had dealt with the onboarding side, two different things,
Okay.
okay? So this is the packet that dealt with that,
And then
okay?
the stipend that you're looking at is the one that's associated with the specialist. Am I following you?
So there should have been two payouts with this particular job responsibility because the burden of responsibilities were placed on two people. And so one person was compensated, I was not.
The specialist got a stipend, you didn't get a
She
stipend.
didn't get a
I
stipend.
understand.
She didn't get a stipend, she got an entire salary increase
Okay.
of upward $20,000.
You raised the salary schedule for the
Yes.
position.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't get the stipend that was initially a stipend that was approved for the position.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Apologize for
I didn't mean to
interrupting.
confuse you.
It's all right.
Okay.
We sorted it out. I appreciate your patience.
That's okay. Okay, so, but in addition to that, where it gets a little muddy though is, in addition to those conversations, where I was trying to go with this is, there has still been, this is where the contract is yet to be modified, where the stipend has not been put on my contract because the superintendent has chosen to allow someone in the office, in that particular office, to handle responsibilities of HR. And that's where I was going with this packet, which is why the HR stipend has never been put on my contract. That's where I'm going with that, if I can explain that. Now, we did have a conversation around, in a meeting where she made the comment that surprised me about why she believed that HR should be ran out of the business office. And so from that comment and from the actions in this packet, which places this employee in direct position of my responsibilities as they were given to me, shows me directly why the stipend has never been applied to my contract. And so these documents show that. That's what my point was in that,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Okay. So is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So if you would look at these documents,
I'm sorry, you're in this packet.
yes, sir, this is the final packet, yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, this document, if you notice here, now mind you, I'm responsible for the job postings, writing job descriptions, and all of those things that are related to, the HR responsibilities. These are just, highlighted correspondences that are directly related to my job responsibilities of HR. I'm responsible for all of the vetting of applicants, and those types of things. Working directly with the principals, to get people into the district and all of those things. Now, I'm not gonna go through this, and read these necessarily, but you can read these. These are one-liners. You can read these, but it's clearly showing you the dialogue that took place with me and, the district level administration. And it shows this person who has been placed directly into the line of my job responsibilities as the HR person who handles this responsibility. Okay, if you would keep looking, this was a meeting. Now, after I sent one line, I will say this, I did send this email and I asked a question to the assistant superintendent after I was asked to post a certain job position that I didn't write. I said, now this is clearly crossing the line of my job responsibility. There was a meeting called and we had the meeting. This particular person in the office was called into this meeting to share this responsibility, split down the middle with my job, and so notice the conversations. Okay, I just want you to read the liners here. Now, at this point, when I filed the grievance, I then wanted to know because I had attended an HR conference, which is directly related to my job responsibilities. And so I asked for any correspondence that this person attended, HR conferences, that's directly outside of their responsibility. You're clearly working in the finance office. You don't have any business in the HR conferences because now you're working in my line of responsibilities. We are just now getting contracts out and things like that because you're doing things that don't have anything to do with contracts because you're all in my lane. I need you to stay in your lane so we can do the other things and maximize efficiency doing what you're supposed to do, getting contracts out. Let me handle HR, you handle that side, okay? Now, if you notice, this shows where you are on leave, attending HR conferences, this agenda, which you didn't want to give, I just used mine to show that you're in a conference that has everything to do with HR and nothing to do with finance. You shouldn't have been there. But you were told to go there. Now, let's go into your job description. Let's cross over the salary. Let's just cross over there. Let's look at the job description. Business manager, nowhere in this job description does it say HR. Nowhere in there. But you're handling matters of posting jobs, writing jobs, not posting, but writing job descriptions. And there's nothing in your job description. Do you see anything in here that I've highlighted for you? Nothing on here is yellow because there's nothing here that deals with her job description that crosses over into mine. Nothing highlighted yellow on this job description but the name of the title. But then, when we look at your salary, you off the salary grid too.
How does this go to the grievance, though, Mr. Hearing Officer?
Business manager,
I mean, it's.
23, 24, $86,000.
I'm not certain I'm following it, but I think what the point she's trying to make is that.
My point I'm trying to
Another
make,
employee
I'll pull it together since he don't want to divulge.
who's doing what she believes are her job duties, and that employee is
Exactly.
being paid differently from her.
Exactly, and the point I'm trying to make, Cody is not ignorant, he knows exactly where I'm going. The point is this,
He's not dishonest either.
the point is this, he's worked with me long enough to know The point is
There's
this,
just so much misinformation that I'm not understanding.
the point
how
is
this has
this,
to do with the grievance.
nothing misinformation about it. You see what I see. The point is this, if it was acknowledged, when this was done, if you had sat down and told me what was going on and the information was given clearly, we wouldn't be here. If I had come to you in good faith and we had this conversation and I'm thinking that you were going to do right in what we discussed, we wouldn't be here. And if things were applied evenly and correctly to me as they were to everyone else, we wouldn't be here. I only asked for what was due me. And there was a $10,000 stipend that anybody else and everybody else would have gotten according to what was given, that everyone else would have gotten when the stipend was applied.
Okay.
And that didn't happen.
I think you're sort of into a more closing argument, so we've been kind of doing that for a while here, but usually we're gonna start with the facts. Ms. Kelly, is there any additional facts that you think need to be brought out from Ms. McMurray?
Just, one thing I want you to make it clear, Ms. McMurray, is what are you asking the board to do? What relief are you seeking to do?
In the resolution, although I'm in the third year of this, working in this capacity without the stipend, I asked Dr. Barberie for the $10,000 back pay for last year's stipend that was not applied. And for my contract to be reflected of the $10,000 stipend that should have been on this year's contract and thereafter. And that's what I asked for. And that I be given access to e-finance in order to do my job, which they have yet to give me access to.
All right. You finished?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Keys? Do you have questions for
I'm
Ms.
gonna
McMurray?
wait and try to set this up with Dr. Barber, and if there's any questions.
That's fine.
This is where I'll ask them.
Ms. McMurray, do you have any other witnesses to call as part of your grievance?
I do not.
Okay, so then the grievance rests, and we'll move over to the administration. Mr. Keys?
Yeah, thank you, members of the board. I'll call Dr. Barberie. And, board, if you would, if you switch over to this packet, and it's page number for you, should have 51 pages. And you'll see on the title page, exhibit list, the exhibit should match up with the page number. So I'll go down the page numbers, which are at the bottom. Okay, so, and let me ask this to Dr. Barberie. So, exhibit 1 for the board, Dr. Barberie, you understand this to be the level 3 grievance that Ms. McMurray submitted to the board?
That's correct.
Okay. And you understand that essentially the summary of her grievance is she thinks she's entitled to a stipend last year and this year in the equivalent of $10,000 per year?
Yes.
Okay. For duties that she believes that she is doing above and beyond what is in her job title?
Yes, what she believes.
Okay. So, looking at, going through the packet here, just so the board knows what they're looking at. So exhibit 1 is essentially her grievance to the board. Exhibit 2, which is page 5, that is, so the board knows there's a grievance process, and this was essentially her level 1 and her level 2 grievance that she prepared and gave to you.
Yes, she started, level 1 would be to grieve to her direct supervisor, which is Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Gregg. And if she's not resolved from that grievance, then she, since it's directly to her the next supervisor would be the superintendent. So level 2 would be to me, but it was the same
Okay.
grievance.
Same grievance, just 2 different levels.
Yes,
She was unsatisfied both times, so she presented this level 3 grievance to the board tonight, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, the exhibit 3, page 6 of 51, the July 30, 2025 email that they went over in their case in chief. This was essentially your response after meeting with her at the level 2?
Yes,
Okay. And that's a pretty fair summary of what you portrayed to her following that meeting?
yes.
Okay. and then Exhibit 4, page 8, and, page 8 and page 9. These just two emails from Ms. McMurray to you in the informal process where she was, after you had met and she kind of informally laid out a summary of her concerns?
This was prior to the grievance being filed, but yes, these are her concerns.
Okay, again, I'm just wanting the board to know what they're looking at. And in fact, before she went to the grievance process, like on page 9 of 51, she had actually said, in a spirit of fairness, she wanted half of the stipend, this alleged stipend, $5,000, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then page 5, which we're gonna talk.
Well, that was after we had met, and I
Okay.
said, you know, that her job description did not, her job description already, she was already doing all the work that, what she was requesting as additional duties, and that was within her job description.
Okay.
So I had said no at that time, that her job description did not, she didn't need an additional duty stipend of
Okay.
$10,000.
And I'm gonna go through that.
And then she asked a few days later for half of it then.
Okay. And then Exhibit 5, page 10, that's the job description for this role that she talked about in her case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me stop there. Let's go in chronological order. That's always better in my mind. You come in to the role of superintendent in January of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And what was Ms. McMurray's role which would have been the 22-23 school year?
In the 22-23 school year, Ms. McMurray was the chief recruitment and retention coordinator.
Okay. And that year, there was another employee who's still with the district, but at that time, she was performing some HR duties.
Yes, it was brought to my attention that she was, yes.
Okay, and she had an HR stipend on her contract.
She did,
Okay, and that's 22-23 school year, right?
yes.
Okay, and I'm
Well,
gonna
as far as I know, yes, April. Mhm.
Let's take a look at Ms. McMurray's contract in 22-23. Board, it's Exhibit 9, page 26. Page 26 of the packet, Exhibit 9, you're looking at Monica McMurray's contract for the 22-23 school year. Okay, what is her job title that year, 22-23?
Coordinator of teacher recruitment and retention.
Okay, and her total compensation is down under the compensation bolded, $97,699.30.
Yes,
Okay, no stipend that year, correct?
that's correct.
Okay, it says under services in bold, Director McMurray 22, $19,591.93. Take us on maybe a short detour and explain to the board, which I'm sure they know, but just to clarify, how the index works with your salary schedule.
So the index is based on everybody who's, other than the superintendent, has to match a salary schedule. And it's usually based on what we call a range and years of experience. And so the range would be on a certified salary schedule, bachelor's, master's, specialist, doctorate, which is the range that goes that way. And then years of experience obviously goes down. And so at that level, every salary starts on the salary schedule that way. Well, at the time, the salary on the salary schedule, then you would take that range, salary schedule range and step, and you multiply that times the index. And so at the time of this contract, the coordinator index, which was on the salary schedule, as the index salary schedule, was 1.53, a coordinator index.
Are you sure about that?
The
1.58.
coordinator, I'm sorry, 1.58. The coordinator index was 1.58. So you take where they fall on the salary schedule, and then you multiply it times the index, and it's and then it gives you the number of $97,699.30. However, in the actual eFinance computer system, it doesn't recognize an index. And so it would automatically recognizes the daily rate of pay. So teachers are based on 190 days. And so this position is a 240-day position. So you take where they fall on the salary schedule, step and range, you get a daily rate of pay, you multiply that times 240 days, and that's gonna give you a number. But that number does not equal out to $97,000. It's much less because it doesn't have the index. So in order to make it right in the eFinance system, certain people's, where it says Director McMurray 22, that's the number that you have to manually put in to make that salary match what the index would say based on a daily rate of pay.
She's a coordinator this year in 22,
In
23.
22, that's a coordinator.
And her coordinator index is 1.58.
Yes.
And the next level up from a coordinator is a director.
Well, in the next school year, the next step up would have been executive director, because there was not a director index at the time.
Okay.
It went straight from coordinator to executive director in the next school year.
Okay, which was a higher index.
Yes, it was a 1.7 index.
And then was there an index in 22, 23 for assistant superintendent?
Yes, 1.97.
Okay. The point being, she's a coordinator in 22, 23, but there's opportunities on the index for her to have a higher index if she had been an executive director or assistant superintendent.
Yes,
Okay. Indeed, the next year, 22, 23, 24, you're the superintendent, correct?
yes,
Does she get a bump on the index?
she does. And we
And
did,
is that next page, 27?
yes.
So take a look at page 27. Her compensation is $108,519, correct?
Yes,
And it's showing an index of 1.7.
yes,
And under the service, party of the second part agrees to perform services of director of recruitment and talent acquisition. Is that right?
yes,
So in the span of a year, under your leadership, she went 22, 23, she's a coordinator, 23, 24, she went to the director position and a roughly $11,000 raise.
and she went to the director position. It says director, even though there was not a director. We gave her the executive director index, yes,
Okay. She got the 1.7 index?
yes.
Okay. And if you look at the next page, which is her contract for 24, 25, page 28, it shows executive director that year.
Yes,
And again, she's being given the executive director index,
yes, 1.7.
and it gives her a bump because your salary schedule went up some.
Well, and she still steps up.
Steps up.
Steps up.
Okay.
It's a step up on the salary schedule.
Right. And then her contract, her current contract, 25, 26 is on page 29, again, showing she's getting continued increases.
And let me pause. If you'll notice on the 23-24 contract, where it says steps, it says 25 at the top of the contract. You see
Right.
where it shows steps 25?
Yeah.
And if you go to the next year, it shows step 27, because board, if you remember, we had to pause the salary schedule for that year and didn't increase anyone when we had the LEARNS Act come in, and everyone was paused. And then once we figured out our salary schedule, we trued up everyone's step. So everyone was stuck at their same step, but then the next year, everyone who was still within the district to stepped up two, basically. So she went from a 25 step to a 27 step on the salary schedule, which is that years of experience.
So 22, 23, the year, I'll say before the rub here, she's making, 22, 23, she's making $97,699 as a coordinator position, correct?
Yes,
And that same year, you've got another employee who's fulfilling these HR coordinator type roles, correct?
it's fiscal support is what it says on the salary schedule.
Okay. Now, let's go to 23, 24. Okay? This is the year that she's now getting the executive director index with a substantial raise, correct?
Yes,
And towards the summer, let's do
when
this.
May of 23.
Yeah. I want to talk about, because there's a transition, right? There's a time where the HR coordinator is transitioning to a different role, and that coordinator, as we sit here today, is there an HR coordinator stipend?
No,
There's not one, right?
there's not an HR.
So for the board to give Ms. McMurray relief, they just got to make up something, essentially.
There's not an HR coordinator stipend.
Okay. So the HR coordinator, the person that had that stipend, left essentially in the summer of '24.
We removed that stipend from that person.
Yes, right, and she's in different duties now.
She doesn't have that duty anymore. We
Okay.
removed those responsibilities and the stipend from that employee.
Okay, let's talk about that, because that's the time in the summer of '24, you're transitioning to the 24-25 school year. That's the year you understand Ms. McMurray is asking for a stipend, starting with that year.
Yes,
And it's your position that she didn't take on any new duties that year to justify having an additional stipend.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's go to Exhibit 6, which is page 14. 14 of the packet. And the individual writing this email at the time was this HR specialist who had this $10,000 stipend?
Yes.
Okay. And again, I mean, what was your plan with, of course, it all had board approval, but kind of leaving the 23, 24 school year, transitioning to 24, 25, what was kind of the vision of you and the board moving and adjusting some of these salaries and stipends?
The vision was ensuring that everybody understood their roles and were able to perform those duties. And looking at the job description that was under the talent acquisition, it covered many of those things already in that job description. And then the roles for the other part of what is being considered HR are workers' comp, FMLA, benefits, and so the payroll coordinator handles all those benefits. Takes the deduction out of the check, makes the payments to the benefit people, so she's very much involved in all that anyway in her job role. So since that's part of her role, it didn't make sense to keep that separate from the business office. And so as her being the payroll coordinator that deals with all the benefits, pays all the payments, makes all those payments every month electronically, and make sure that it's trued up every month. We have to make sure that whatever we send for the benefits, all that takes place. So knowing what a person's benefits have, knowing when we have workers' comp issues, FMLA, in the past we've had issues with FMLA where we paid people when they were supposed to not be being paid on FMLA. So this was just trying to put all of it under one person so we could make sure that we kept that organized. Again, it's just cleaning up some of the inconsistencies that have happened in the past in the district.
So looking at, and again, this is the previous person who is this HR specialist, this $10,000 stipend that we're talking about. She's transitioning, she's out of that position. Some of it is going to Ms. James, who they spoke out earlier.
Yes.
Who would generally be categorized under the finance business office.
Yes.
And then some of these are not really going to Ms. McMurray because she's already doing them based on this email, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so let's just take these bullet points. Here, the previous HR specialist in
I'm sorry, Mr.
January.
Keys, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
You're on Exhibit 6, page 14
Yes.
of the administration packet.
Yeah. Okay, so she's leaving her role as the HR specialist, and she says onboarding, Ms. McMurray will continue this process.
Yes.
So it's your understanding that Ms. McMurray was doing this prior to this change?
Yes.
Okay. Talent Ed, Ms. McMurray will continue to monitor and post jobs.
Yes.
What's your understanding of Talent Ed today? It's called something different?
Like School Spring, it's the platform for us posting job applications or for people to apply through the job, Talent Ed / School Spring.
Okay. And then the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points are all going to the new person handling the HR / business role.
Which is, yes, the payroll coordinator.
Payroll / HR coordinator.
Yep.
Those are all the duties that your previous HR specialist who had that $10,000 stipend, she's now sending at least bullet points, at least 5 specific tasks are going to this other person,
Yes.
not Ms. McMurray.
Correct.
And based on this, the person who's doing the job, the 2 things that she indicates were under her were already being done by Ms. McMurray prior to that.
Correct.
Okay. And again, she's leaving this post in the summer of '24, so the previous year was the 23-24 school year, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Ms. McMurray had already gotten that $10,000 bump, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
11,000.
11,000, sure. Okay. So let's talk about the job description. Again, we're going back to our timeline. You come in the district as superintendent January of '23. In the summer of '24, the previous HR specialist is transitioning out of that position. We've been looking at that email. Are you familiar with a job description for the role that Ms. McMurray was in?
Yes, I'm familiar. It was provided to me in May of 2023, before the 24-25 school year.
Yeah, let's look at that. The board, Exhibit 5, page 10, is, again, Ms. McMurray spoke about this, their Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition, which we agree is Executive Director. Go to page 13. which is the last page of that, and then flip over, I had to insert a page, excuse me, board 13A. What is going on here, page 13A, which I added, what is going on here?
So this is a Google document that was shared with me all through May, that it was shared with me on May 30th, 2023, that this was the job description for the Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition.
So it started May 3rd, 2023?
No, it started way before that. That's just the screenshot. It actually
Okay.
started in April of 2023.
Yeah, and these are each, and I think Ms. McMurray spoke to this, each time a change is made, it's noted on the right side here.
That's correct.
So she's essentially drafting her job description.
Correct.
Okay, and ultimately, the current version that we have before the board was solidified May 31st of 23.
Yes.
Okay, before, while Ms. McMurray's in the position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And leading into the 23-24 school year.
Yes.
Okay. So she wrote her job description
Yes.
and then was issued a contract pursuant to that job description.
That is correct.
And she signed her contract, correct?
She did.
And let's make sure the board's clear on that. She's under contract last year, 24-25, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
And she signed her contract.
Yes.
So she had a pay listed, she agreed to it.
That's right.
Maybe we should look at it. So,
24, 25.
yeah, 24-25 board is on page 28. Signed by Ms. McMurray, right?
On June 26th of 24.
Clearly has her salary.
Mhm.
Okay, and we did our end of the deal, right? We paid her according to,
The job description and the index.
okay.
Yes.
Say, and in this year, she's under contract, it's been signed and executed by her, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And she's been getting the paycheck the last July and August, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna walk us through in excruciating detail the job description in a minute. But I mean, your position is, she is doing the role of HR that she was doing prior to the HR coordinator / specialist handing over that position. She's doing the same thing.
Yes. Well, yes.
And this HR talent acquisition, director of recruitment and talent acquisition, I mean, that's the position that's been around since you started?
I don't recall that. Well, yes, I mean, it was given to me in May of 23, which was when I came in as superintendent that spring.
Okay.
It was, I don't know what was in place prior to that.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 3, which is page 6. This is what I found to be probably the best summary of what Ms. McMurray is saying that she's doing, that she's not being adequately compensated for. Is that fair?
Yes.
So you go down to the paragraph with the on May 23rd, 2025, I met to discuss your concerns. At that time, you stated you believe you were owed 10,000 stipend for roles you performed, and then you list out several.
Yes.
Okay, your understanding to be these 7 tasks, all being 7 things she's saying, hey, I'm doing that I don't think I'm getting compensated for.
That is correct.
Now, have you independently reviewed those 7 tasks and compared them to her job description,
Yes.
which is again in the packet for the board, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for the sake of time, and then the board can study this if they'd like, I want to go through each of these and you just tell us, based on your professional opinion, what number, so if you go to onboarding and looking at her duties and responsibilities as outlined in the contract, what number do you think corresponds? So for onboarding, what number of the duties and responsibilities in her job description correspond to onboarding?
Number 5, assist with human resources coordinator with new hire onboarding when necessary. And number 9, oversee the employment application and screening process, monitor for effectiveness, and make recommendations for changes as needed.
Okay. Again, she's saying, I don't think I'm being compensated for onboarding, but it's in the job description that she wrote and was approved in the summer of 23.
Yes.
Okay. Job description of parentheses creation, close parentheses.
Number 18, Manages the talent acquisition process, which may include recruitment, interviewing, and hiring of qualified job applicants, particularly for managerial exempt and professional roles, collaborates with departmental managers, understands the skills and competencies required for openings.
Okay.
What, I'm sorry, where y'all at?
Oh, I'm taking, so on page 6 of 51, the letter,
6 of 51?
yeah. The 7 tasks, or 7 roles, and I'm just having her compare it to the job description.
To which job description?
Your current one, the HR, the Director of Recruitment and Talent Acquisition, which is page 11 of 51. So you just gotta kind of put a bookmark. Essentially, we're bouncing back between my packet, page 6 and page 11. Okay, the third role, managing job boards.
So that's number 11 and number 9 under the jobs duties.
Job boards is like job openings.
The job board would be like talent ed, which was referenced earlier, springboard.
Okay. Your,
School spring, I'm sorry, school spring.
your understanding that corresponds with duty number 9 and number 11 in your job description.
Yes.
Okay. Writing interview questions.
Number 18 and 24.
And that's, tell me, does that come up a lot where you're writing separate interview questions? Do you
No.
recreate it every time?
Not always, it just depends, like, most of the questions are already there, so when we did instructional facilitator, those questions were there. When we interviewed for principal, those questions were there, but she did provide those questions to the interview committee.
Okay.
She did.
Because she has to ensure per this description, compliance with like equal employment opportunity, federal law, state law.
That's right.
Okay, which was clearly outlined in the job description.
That's right.
23. Okay, going back to the task, I'm on number 5, managing reassignments and transfers. Where does that match up to her job description?
Number 11 and number 17.
You briefly read those.
Monitor open positions to ensure legal timelines for any required notifications are met. Number 17, provide support and guidance to the superintendent of schools when complex, specialized, and sensitive questions and issues arise. May be required to administer and execute routine tasks to delegate circumstances such as providing reasonable accommodations, investigating allegations of wrongdoing, and terminations.
Okay, establishing/sustaining relationships with IHEs and labor forces. What do you think IHEs is?
Institutional higher ed, I think,
And labor forces being like the union or organized labor? Okay, so where would establishing those relationships with higher ed and labor be on their job description?
number 22, 23, and 25. 22 states
Well,
represent,
If
okay.
you want to read them, you can, but
No,
I'm just going to.
22, 23, and 25.
Okay, and then travel to and from career fairs.
Travel is reimbursed, so that's not necessarily in a job description, but
So, career fairs is what she would be going to as part of her duties as talent acquisition.
yes,
And you're saying if you go to Jonesboro for an A-State college fair, she can turn in travel?
yes, unless there's a school vehicle, she can take a school vehicle to go to those as well,
Are you aware of any time where she wasn't compensated for her travel?
not to my knowledge.
Okay, so you're saying, hey, you've given me all these tasks that you think you're not compensated for, but they were in your job description for the 23-24 school year that you created
That's correct,
and you blessed,
that's correct,
and when you got that $11,000 pay raise with the index.
that's correct.
Okay. Now, you also understand part of her concern to be that she's on an index. And okay, are teachers on indexes?
No,
Okay, who's on an index?
coordinators, specialists, some coordinators, and then executive directors, assistant superintendent.
Like, right now, a specialist is on an index of 1.4?
Mhm.
Okay, yes?
Yes,
A coordinator is on an index of 1.58.
yes,
A director is on an index of 1.63.
yes,
An executive director is on an index of 1.7.
yes,
an assistant superintendent is on an index of 1.97,
Yes,
and the superintendent's is negotiated with the board.
that's correct.
So is the theme here, the higher you are in an admin role, the higher your index?
That's correct.
So like 1.97 is the highest index for assistant superintendents. There's 2 of those.
Yes,
Executive director, she's got the next highest at 1.7,
correct.
and there's 2 executive directors?
There are 2.
Okay, but I understand some of the rub to be, hey, there are people with an index and they have stipends.
That's correct.
What, just generally before we look, who would, generally speaking, why would you have an index and a stipend?
Do an additional duty that's not part of your job. A stipend is for an additional duty that's not part of your job.
And here, you're not aware of her doing any additional duty that's not part of the executive director position.
That's correct.
If you were to assign her something that, like going to the Juvenile Justice Detention Center or something like that, that would come with a stipend.
If it were outside of the regular daily job, so if it took up time that was outside of your regular day,
Well, let's look at it, 'cause we're all about fairness, right?
that's correct.
Let's look at some contracts. Makes people feel uncomfortable, but I mean, we gotta go through it. Let's go to page, well, she brought up, the federal programs coordinator on page 40 of my packet board.
Okay,
Page 40, again, I just wanted to show, explain to the board why somebody might have an index and a stipend, okay? So this individual on page 40 of 51 is a coordinator, right?
yes, 1.58 index.
So they're paid off of a 1.58 index, but then they also get a virtual coordinator stipend.
That's correct.
Okay, why does this individual get a stipend for that?
Because that's something that's an additional duty outside of federal programs and categorical coordinator.
Okay, meaning like next year, not anybody that's always hired into federal and categorical programs would always be required to do the virtual coordinator.
That's correct.
The board has decided that role is an extra role, it's $10,000, and it can go to it doesn't have to go to the same person every year.
It does not.
Okay. So the next individual, page 41, is a director position, correct?
That's correct.
1.63 multiplier.
That's correct.
But they are a liaison to the courts.
That's correct.
Is that what JJC/MTSS?
Juvenile Justice Center and, yes, multi-tiered system of support liaison.
And the board, in passing us out a stipend schedule, determined that that particular role was deserving of, or necessitated a stipend.
In excess, that's correct. So the person in that role currently does go to court during the day, during the school day. Like we have court on Mondays and Thursdays because court's not in evenings. However, documentation and things that happen over the weekend, there's still additional duties that this person takes care of and communicates with several other people, parole officers, judges, different people outside of school hours.
And we all know Judge Brown doesn't care that it's 4 o'clock. He will call or want you on the evening and weekends, right?
It was actually Friday afternoon and we still didn't have the docket when we were out of school. We were still waiting on the court docket for Monday.
But again, the point is for the board, this is an individual, that's a stipend, that's a specific duty that is above and beyond that position.
That's correct.
Okay, let's flip over to 43. Again, Ms. McMurray raised this issue. You've got an assistant superintendent. They're on the highest index, but this assistant superintendent, in addition to getting the index, has an athletic program support stipend for $10,000.
He's not over he's not an athletic director. He's just over the entire program of support, yes.
Okay, again, that's a specialized role in addition to assistant superintendent duties?
That's correct.
Okay. And that is that's a stipend that's on the stipend schedule?
Yes, it is.
You don't have an HR stipend?
We do not.
Okay. And then your other assistant superintendent, next page, page 44, there's no stipend for the 24-25 school year for this individual.
That's correct.
So they're strictly paid their assistant superintendent position pursuant to the index.
That's correct.
But if you flip over one page to 45, the current contract for this assistant superintendent, 25-26, it has two stipends added.
That's correct.
Why, just so the board understands?
The program coordinator support is, board, remember, we did not have a candidate for an LEA supervisor. And so now this assistant superintendent has taken on the role of LEA supervisor. We do have an assistant LEA supervisor that role is a different position. And so it's another person that's doing the assistant role part. The year before, the person that is now the LEA assistant was helping with the inclusion specialist. She was the inclusion specialist. She also worked with the CCEIS, which is an amount of money that has to be allocated out of our special ed funding because we were at a disproportionate. And so that stipend is a coordinator, it's a stipend for the CCEIS. So the person that was doing that last year is no longer doing that. That has been given to the assistant superintendent. And then the other part, program coordinator support, is because they're also supporting our special programs with our special services with LEA supervisory roles, which is outside of the job description.
And that is a stipend that was approved by the board.
The program, yes, the program
Okay.
coordinator support, yes.
And again, they have the stipend schedule. Well, and I
The
can,
25-26 stipend schedule has not been posted to the website. That's one of those, but that has been in a board packet, so it's on it's on the state required information under the board minutes, but it's not on the state, on our website at this time.
and board, to the extent anybody's interested, the 25-26 additional duty pay schedule, which it has been adopted by the board.
Yes, it has.
It's just not posted yet,
Mhm.
is page 17 of 51, is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And the stipends for most of the positions we're talking about is the column in the top right corner.
that's correct.
If you scan that list, there's no HR coordinator.
There's not.
Okay. All right, I'm almost wrapping up. I wanna finish with this. Again, the email from the previous HR specialist who had all these duties, right?
Yes,
Because that to me seems to be the best indicator of the division of labor.
that's correct.
So like going back to that page 14, the lion's share of the work went to the person that's currently in this payroll HR specialist position,
That's correct.
who's still employed here.
That's correct.
Because Mrs. McMurray raised some issue about her getting pay raises
That's correct.
because she's taken on all these duties.
That's correct.
Okay, so we just don't we're not printing money to where if you think you deserve more, you get money. It has to be associated with a stipend, right?
That or a position.
Okay. So like the individual they spoke of, who's in that position, she's had a pay increase because the duties have increased and then the job responsibilities have increased.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, do you see any issue with there being a division of labor with some of the HR going to your business side of your house?
I think it's cleaner.
Okay, because there's so much, as we see from April Williams, even 2 years ago, a considerable amount of what she was doing had this business side to it, right?
That is correct.
Benefits, that kind of thing?
Mhm.
Okay, so you don't see a problem in, Ms. McMurray raised a lot of issues that it's a problem, but it's not a problem for anybody that wants to be collaborative, is it?
I do not see that as
Okay.
a problem.
She wants to know about issues with AppScan. Any problems getting her access to the software system she needs?
No problem, which I just don't know what parts of that. So e-finance, I, as the superintendent, have to sign specific rights per person because it has social security numbers. I mean, it's very protected. And so I would need to know what specific parts of e-finance Ms. McMurray needs access to per her job duty.
Okay.
But no, there's no problem with it as long as, I mean, if she needs it to perform her job, the answer is yes.
Okay. Now, like, she ever brought to your attention that she's not able to fulfill the duties that she has within the standard workday or anything like that?
No, she's an after-school coordinator.
What does that mean?
She coordinates she's a program director for our 21 CCLC program after school.
Is that paid separately?
Yes, that's a separate pay.
Why is that? It's on the contract though.
No, it's not on contract.
But so she's actually working after school in another role?
That's correct.
Okay. Has that paid with is that not on the contract because it's paid through another funding source?
That is, that, and it's not part of this position. Yeah,
It's a 21st Century Grant?
that's correct.
That's right. Okay, so it's paid under a grant. Would you know what that is?
$60 an hour.
Okay. And then lastly, the issue about contracts. Contracts were moved to the business office because of past problems with contracts being issued, right?
That is correct, and the board is completely aware of our contract issues. Those were audit findings when we took over.
Okay, Annie, you don't have any problem with Ms. McMurray, right?
I do not.
In fact, I saw an email where she says, in the spirit of fairness, my suggestion would be to apply half of the HR stipend. So you thought, she was conceding, she really wasn't doing anything to warrant any of it, but hey, let's just split the baby. Is that how you took it?
That's out there.
Okay. And then the conversation you had with her, y'all left. She even, I think, thanked you or something?
The original conversation, yes, she said she wanted to make sure that she didn't want any ill feeling, but she wanted to make sure that she was being paid for what she was doing. And in that meeting, we went over the job description. I explained the difference in an index versus a stipend and explained that the stipend was no longer there. And we left that meeting, I thought in good faith, that she was satisfied. In fact, she said, thank you so much, I understand. We hugged it out. That was the end of that meeting.
Thank you.
Excuse me, any questions for Superintendent Barber?
I have a couple. Dr. Barbary, you testified that there's no HR stipend in place, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Has there ever been one?
I think it was called fiscal support in the past prior to me, but since my administration, there's not been an HR stipend.
It's almost.
I'm sorry.
Hold on, I'll recall. All right, so do you remember asking Ms. McMurray to create a new job description for herself?
I did not.
You did not
I
ask
did
her
not
to
ask
create
Ms.
a new one?
McMurray to create a new job description.
Do you remember the time frame in which Ms. McMurray created this new job description?
In the spring of 2023, she came to me and said, I was told that I was gonna be the director, that I'm doing these responsibilities, and I'm not being compensated for them. And so that's when we looked at, she presented me with a job description of what she was doing.
And did you at that point have any discussion about a stipend?
No, we gave the index of 1.7, which would be much larger than a $10,000 stipend.
So the issue of a stipend was never brought up in that conversation?
No,
When was the first time, to your recollection, that Ms. McMurray talked to you about not receiving the stipend?
May 8th, 2025.
All right, just to make sure that I understand your testimony, you're saying that she is not entitled to a stipend because she's not performing any duties that are in addition to what's in her job description?
That is accurate.
Okay, so when we look at the contracts of employees who have both the multiplier and the stipend applied to them, you can assume that they have a job description that goes with their job position, and they're also performing duties that are not part of that?
Ask your question again.
So if I look at a contract and I see that the person is receiving a multiplier based on the index and is also receiving a stipend, can I safely assume that that person, A, has a job description with duties that they are performing, but on top of that, they're also performing duties that are not included in their job description under their job title?
Yes.
And is it?
However, I will add that I do not have access to all job descriptions. And so there may be some job descriptions that I don't know exactly what all those duties are at this time because Ms. McMurray has all the job descriptions. But anyone else right now, if they have an index, it's related to a title, and the titles would be specialist, director, specialist coordinator, director, executive director, and assistant superintendent. So the index is based on a title of that position, and then any additional stipend is always an additional duty.
And it's your testimony that Ms. McMurray does not perform any duties that are outside of her job description, right?
Not that she indicated to me.
That's all.
I want to address some things that they.
No, ma'am. Your attorney's asked
I
questions
will-
for you, you can coordinate through him if you need additional questions.
I'll leave all.
Any questions from the board for Secretary Barber? All right. And then, Mr. Keys, any follow-up?
That's it.
Okay. And then, after Ms. McMurray's initial testimony, I forgot to ask the board if you have any questions for her, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that at this time. Okay. And is the administration finished? Do you have any other witnesses?
No, we rest.
Okay. Back to employee side for final portion.
Yes, sir. I would like to recall Ms. McMurray as my witness. If at all possible, could I have just 2 to 3 minutes to confer with my client
That's fine.
before we do it? Can we step outside? I'm literally talking 2 to 3 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have a break, 2 or 3 minutes. You need to stretch your legs. You're welcome.
You also have a YouTube following, I keep getting messages. I'm serious. I'd like to superintendent. Watching on TV.
I guess the Pipeline YouTube channel is sponsored.
What, who you with you? I'm what? Are you recording right now? Okay. Too late.
I did not agree to record.
You tell it.
Ms. Kelly, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Board's you all ready to proceed? Hearing no objection, we'll go forward. Mr.
Ms. McMurray, you have been listening to Dr. Barbaree's testimony, is that right? And there are some points in that testimony that you disagree with, is that correct? Would you tell the board what those points are?
Yes, sir. One thing I do want to agree with, Dr. Barberee and I, we are not at odds. We do have a great relationship. So I do want to state that for the record. However, one of the things that was said was that the performing of the HR duties in 22-23, which they took a moment to name those things that were being performed. I want to go back to say that those were the actionables that were added into the contract of talent and acquisition. They were not in the coordinator's job description. That's important to note. They were not there. Those were added into that new job description. Had the stipend been applied before, because the stipend was in fact a board-approved stipend, the stipend was not was not taken out of the stipend schedule before that time. And if you notice, Ms. Williams did not relinquish her HR stipend until June the 30th of 2024. Notice the date of the email. Friday, June 28th, is when she sent the email out. She was still receiving the HR stipend at that time. That was when the HR stipend was still being applied. It was taken out of the stipend schedule during that time. She was still getting a stipend at that time, and it was called an e-finance HR stipend. That's what it was called. It was not fiscal specialist, for the record. It was HR stipend. And you can pull it out of e-finance to this day, and it'll say that. Also, another thing I want to make note of, Mr. Keys made mention that Ms. James's responsibilities were more heavier than mine. I showed you in her job description as the HR specialist. You have it before you. It is highlighted in yellow where my description of responsibilities are clearly overlapping hers in that job description, because my job description as HR are shared with hers, and they are clearly more than hers in addition to what's in my job description. So her job description, in addition to payroll and what she does, she only performs the benefits and the health services under the services of HR. That's as far as her responsibilities go in that. I want to be clear with that. And when she was given the HR responsibilities of that side of the work, let's be clear, some of her responsibilities were lightened because they were allowed to hire additional help. And the additional help that they were allowed to hire this year and last year were 3 additional people in that back office. There's a secretary bookkeeper, there's an administrative support helper in there, and the young man who's back there was given additional stipend for having additional duties put on him that was relieved from Ms. James's office. And then there was another fiscal support specialist that was put back there. So there were 3 people and a young man who received additional stipends for additional work that was placed in his office. So the load was lightened. So she was not, she's not doing anything more, she's actually doing less work. Another thing that was, that needs to be noted and on the record, they said that my additional increases from the time that these services were being, this load was given to me was in excess of $11,000. Let's keep in mind, each year you get a step in your pay. Let's account for that. And then when you include the index, okay, and then you have to also remember that when the Learns Law happened and that bump in pay happened, everyone who was topped out on the salary scale received $2,000. That happened to me too. So let's account for that. So it was not because of the extra application of salary for that. But when you compare that to what Ms. James got, a $19,000 increase one year, a $6,000 increase another year, and a $17,000 total, $43,000, $11,000 don't touch it. And then when you look at what Miss Reed got, $32,000 bump in pay, and then a $33,000 the next year, in 2 years, it doesn't touch that. So let's let the record show. There's no equality in that. And then when you covertly give those HR responsibilities to the director of finance, when you know that those responsibilities are mine and you overlook where it's supposed to be and you don't put it on my contract, it's not right. I'll give it back to you, Ms. Muskelly. Thank you all.
Ms. McMurray, you referenced your department throughout some of this documentation. That's you and a administrative assistant?
Me, my administrative assistant, and Miss April Williams.
Okay, what does Ms. Williams do?
Ms. Williams runs AppScan, and she also runs the SIS systems for the district.
Okay, and then you have a dedicated administrative assistant?
I do.
Okay. You have looked at all your contracts, correct?
I have.
And you signed every contract, correct?
Yes, I have, and that's a good
That's a
point.
yes or no question.
Yes, I
You got
have.
to preach earlier, you just
I
answered yes
have.
or no to me.
I have.
You signed every contract, correct?
I signed this
And the
contract, Mr.
district-
Keys.
The district,
This contract, the one that I have on their HR with questions for the last 2 years. That encompassed the contract that
Okay.
you showed them.
now, did the district fulfill its end of the bargain by paying you a check? You know, correct? So yes or no, did you get a check?
I did get a
All right,
check.
you didn't send those back because you were protesting your contract, correct? Correct?
The sticky note says
Correct.
HR stipend missing for two
Did you-
past years on
Sure.
this contract. Do you
Did
have that?
Did that pay hit your account?
It did.
Okay, now,
did.
you've read your job description, correct?
I did.
Because you wrote it, right?
I did.
And you're familiar with number 28 on your job description? Perform other duties as assigned? Is that right?
That's
Okay,
relative. That's
all
relative.
right, good. And then you read your contract,
I
correct?
did.
And you've read your contract where it says other duties as assigned?
That's relative.
Okay,
You know the labor law on that statement.
so you signed your contract every year, you wrote your job description, and you accepted that job description by coming to work the past 2 years, correct? Correct?
Look at the statement on
Let me
that
ask you this.
contract. Look at
You,
the statement on the contract, Mr. Keys.
you understand now you're in a,
Oh, hold on, we're not gonna answer questions with questions. He's asking you a question, please answer.
now,
But he's asking me a question about the
I understand.
contract. There's a note on the
I
contract.
understand what's happening.
Okay, but let the
Listen to
record show
me.
that there's a
Listen,
note on the
ma'am,
contract that I
ma'am,
signed.
Excuse me. We're gonna answer questions with answers, not with questions, okay?
sorry, thank you, Mr. Richardson. You agreed in 22-23, you were being paid an index under the title of coordinator, correct?
In 2023,
22-23.
yes.
Okay. And you agree that the index for a coordinator is less than the index for an executive director, correct?
That's correct.
So, under Dr. Barbaree's superintendency, 23-24, you were moved to the director index, correct? So it was executive, I think at that year.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, and you agree that that index came with a raise?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so, and is that about the time, so 23-24, you go from a coordinator to an executive director with this index, and that's the year you're saying, hey, you start to take on what you allege is additional duties? Is that the right?
That's the year that I put the sticky note on the contract, except for the past 2 years I had additional duties.
I mean, so would an acceptable resolution be you go back to a coordinator index and then have a stipend of $10,000? Would that be acceptable?
I still have the title of, executive director of, the title change is still the same.
But you don't want to go back to a coordinator and get that index and have a $10,000 stipend, do you? Because you make less money. So you're actually making more money now because you were moved to an
No.
executive director, but yet you want hold on, but you're asking for a stipend that doesn't exist, that would put you in excess of the pay you already getting for those duties.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, do you
Are
want,
you asking me?
do you want to go back to a coordinator and have that index
So do
and then have a matching stipend?
you want me to answer you?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and my answer is, the title and the job has changed. So with the title and the job change, which I'm sorry that y'all don't understand that, the title and the job change comes with the index. Just like anybody else, with a title change comes the index.
And you're getting the index,
And
correct?
I'm not getting the stipend.
Because there is no stipend.
It is a stipend.
Where is the stipend
That's
on
for the
this?
board to decide,
Where is it on
Mr.
the salary
Keys.
schedule?
That's for the board to decide.
To add a stipend that wasn't there in the previous 2 years you signed your contract,
To
right?
add a stipend that was just changed, sir.
When was it just changed?
The year that it was taken off, which was last year, in
Was it-
24. When they decided to add the new addition to the column of the pay scale, it was just taken off in 24,
For what year?
last year. Ms. Williams just relinquished
So it
it.
wasn't there for
Miss-
24, so this is the second school year it's not there.
Right, Ms.
Correct.
Williams just relinquished it in 24.
Well,
When-
going into
when-
the 24-25 school year.
Look at the email.
Yeah, that's the summer of 24 going into the 24-25 school
Yeah,
year.
so
We're on
it
the
was-
25-26.
Right, it was just relinquished last year.
Well, no, you
During-
try to
during
say
the
last
time-
year. This is the second fiscal year, school year, that contract,
Right.
that stipend has not been on the board approved salary schedule, correct?
During the, yes, during the
Okay, thank
time
you,
that stipend was.
Second year, thank you.
Right.
That's all I have, thank you, sir.
Anything further, Mr. Castillo?
No, sir.
Any questions from the board? Okay. I do want to ask one question, just to make sure I understand the related to your request. I'm looking at your level 3 grievance, it's at page 4 of the board packet. Your resolution number 1 is to restore to you the $10,000 stipend that was not applied to your contract during the 24-25 year. Am I following that right? So, and I see your 24-25 contract, page 28 of the board packet. And it applies the multiplier to get that amount of the contract, right?
I'm sorry,
Your 24-25 contract, the pay on that is based on the 1.7 executive director multiplier, right?
no, it just would be the flat $10,000
Well,
stipend.
I'm sorry, I'm asking, in that contract though, as it was drafted, which I understand you think that was an error, it applies the 1.7 multiplier, right? So then my question is, are you asking for the 10,000 in addition to that 1.7 multiplier or in lieu of the 1.7?
I'm asking for, yes, because that's what everybody else's contract
No,
looks
no, I'm
like.
sorry, that was two.
In addition,
In addition to the
yes.
1.7.
yes,
And the same thing for the 25-26 school year. You want the 10,000 in addition to the multiplier, right?
yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear. Thank you. All right. I feel like we've had closing statements, but I'll give you a few minutes for closing statements, Mr. and Ms. Kelly, and followed by Ms. Key if you want.
Sure. Members of the board, I think the evidence is clear on the fact that my client is entitled to both the multiplier which he's getting, but also the stipend. As the evidence shows, the multiplier, the index is tied to your job title. And based on her job title, she is clearly entitled to the 1.7 multiplier. When it comes to the stipend, we have shown that she has been performing additional duties, the kind which the other similarly situated employees of the district do receive stipends for. And this argument that, look, you're making more money, why are you complaining about not getting a stipend, just doesn't hold any water, because that's not what the rules say. Those are two separate things. And as we have shown, a lot of people are entitled to both, as is Ms. McMurray. That's really the core of this case. I mean, there's a lot of other details, which I really don't want to get into, but I just want to stick to the core of this, which is she is clearly entitled to a stipend, not in lieu of, but in addition to the multiplier that she's rightfully getting as executive director. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muscatelli.
Thank you,
Any
Mr. Richardson.
concluding comments?
Be very brief for the board. Board, you're gonna go into executive session here in a minute, and you'll have an opportunity to deliberate. You'll have the packet. I tried my best to reference the page numbers. So you'll have page, on page 24A is the 2025-26 additional duty pay schedule. I mean, as boards, we follow laws, we follow rules, we follow procedures, and if you look at this pay schedule, which you all adopted, there is no stipend for what she's asking. But there is the multipliers that she's getting. So she's getting the multiplier for any additional duties that she assumed for the 24-25 school year. But the board didn't put a stipend here. So you don't have a stipend to give. And there's 450 employees under your supervision. What keeps another employee from coming in here and saying, I've been doing all this work, I think I'm entitled? I mean, you get the contract, that's the time to negotiate to the extent you can And then you're bound by that. And so how is this any different than any employee saying, I'm performing additional duties? You have the stipend schedule. This HR role is not on there because I think we've explained really well that has been divvied up between multiple people, and it makes sense. The duties that she's doing have not changed since she took on the role on the job description that she prepared. I heard Mr. Miss Kelly say she's performing these additional duties. What are they? Everything, we went through the duties that she says that she's performing, and they're all on the job description. So they perfectly align. So there's nothing. And then it's contract law as well. I mean, certainly, I know you all would agree that this is what we're offering an employee. That's the time to negotiate or to talk about issues, but you can't come back a year and months later. I mean, we're like 14 months later and say, oh, I think I'm doing more, you owe me. That's not how the law works. And the board, there's not even a process for that. So, you know, to the extent Ms. McMurray is unhappy, she can fulfill her contract and she doesn't have to return next year, or that would be the opportunity in the spring to negotiate, hey, we want to look at this. So that's her opportunity to say, hey, I want to look at these duties, or I think this needs to be aligned differently. That's her choice. But she's under a contract, we've been fulfilling it, you've been paying. And so there's nothing that would change the contract mid-year. So it asks that you deny the agreement.
Last word, Mr. Miskell.
No.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Board, you've heard the evidence, the arguments, now it's time to deliberate. Go back into executive session as you normally do, and you'll have a couple of decisions to make. I have provided for you, prepared for you, a form, motion on grievance. It gives you your three options that you can do on this grievance. You can sustain the grievance, which means you would impose the remedy sought by Ms. McMurray. You can deny the grievance, which will mean you would uphold the administration's recommendation and their denial of the grievance. Or you can sustain in part and deny in part. And I've given you some lines on this sheet to fill in if that's your decision to modify the remedy sought, to write in what you want that modification to be. So I'm your attorney here. I'm not attorney for either side. I haven't tried to suggest which way you should rule by my questions. If I did, I apologize. That was not my intent. Sometimes the last question is trying to clarify things for you, but I think it's a little confusing. Hopefully I did that, didn't confuse things. I mean, these are some very little bit there. When you go back to executive session, used to, you couldn't take a lawyer back there with you, but you can under the law now. So if you have questions for me, I can come back into the room with you in your executive session. We don't normally let the administration go back because the administration is an advocate in this proceeding. And I won't take a position on which way you should decide the case, but I am happy to answer questions on points of law, things like that. So,
For the record, the superintendent will not be joining her.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's the normal process. That's what I was trying to explain. So now it's time for you all to move to go into an executive session so you can discuss your decision.